Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a equipment tour with all of the tractors and equipment on our farm. So I hope you enjoyed today's video and stick around to the end so you don't miss any piece of equipment that I show today. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy this one. This should be a good video, so thanks for tuning in. Alright, so this is our 2017, I believe, John Deere 625i Gator. We got this Gator a couple months ago, and when we got it, it did not run. And this Gator was used for salt spreading, so it was quite rusty. So we got it running with a new starter, and I've been cleaning it up and painting several different rusty spots on this machine. But it runs really good, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I'm not 100% finished yet, but we're really close. So I'm just gonna fire up here so you guys can listen to it. Yeah, so that's our John Deere Gator. If you've seen any of my other videos, you probably know that I own, or I guess my family owns, this 1949 John Deere Model M. This has been my project for the past couple years. I got it when I was 12 years old, and me, with help from my dad and other antique tractor enthusiasts, have fixed this up to the condition you see it in today. If you go check, I think it was one of my last videos, this tractor, there is a full restoration video series where you can see pretty much all the pictures from start to finish, and you can see how much work we put into it. But I can fire it up for you guys if you would like that. And I also have my wagon behind it, which I restored when I think I was about 11 years old when I restored that wagon, and it looks really good. So I'm gonna fire up the tractor here, and you guys can listen to how good it runs, because it runs very, very excellent. We put a lot of effort into getting it running as good as it does today, so I'm really happy with the way it runs. First, we gotta turn the fuel on. Something I built, so you can see this is stopping the flapper from going all the way down. So if I leave it, put it back up, it's quite violent, so I really didn't like how violent it was for the rain flapper. So I built this thing, it's basically a piece of metal that bolts onto this bolt on the other side, and there's a bolt here, so when you pull it down, it makes it a little quieter, a little nicer to listen to. Me and my brother redid the whole wiring system. If you are interested to see that video, it's on my channel. But we also installed the horns, so that's pretty cool. That's not something that's on every Model M, so pretty happy with that. Here's the John Deere wagon. Like I said, I restored this when I was about 11 years old, and it's still looking good. And I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I built this flat rack. These boards here, so you can see that's the running gear. I just bought it as a bare running gear. Might be able to stick some photos of it like it was when we got it. But it came with these, I'm not really sure what they'd be called, but these support brackets here. So when we built the flat rack, these are actually barn beams that my dad sliced up from the original bank barn. I believe that was on this farm. And when we tore it down, Dad's kept some, and he sliced them up, and we were able to use them on this project. So that's pretty cool. So that's just a big old barn beam that's sliced up a bit. It's got the two barn beams down here, and then we built this flat rack which is basically all 2x6s, just screwed onto here, and then all around the outside we have 2x4s, and that back rack on the flat rack. And I also painted it green because it was fading, also just to try to seal it up a little better from all the water and the sun damage that it might get. So that's the John Deere wagon. Pretty happy with the way it turned out. This is actually supposed to be all yellow, the hubcap and the lug nuts, but I painted them green, and I paint this custom so you can really see the JD on it. I think it looks pretty cool, so pretty happy with the way that turned out. But yep, that's my tractor and my wagon setup. I have a couple other implements for my tractor. I have a number 5 sickle bar mower that I'll be getting out of the shop soon, and I also have a M2 plow, which I have been working on so we can get it painted to match the freshly restored tractor. I don't think I mentioned this, but we just finished restoring this tractor this winter, so it's a fresh restoration. So yeah, that's my tractor and wagon setup. Here's another view of the Gator. But moving on, this is my brother's 1955 John Deere 50. We can have a look at it. It's got the Roll-O-Matic front end. And I think this is an older restoration. We got this pretty much as you see it. But it was had a clutch problem. So we were able to rebuild the clutch. So we did not restore this tractor. We bought it restored, but it seems to be a pretty good restoration. But we redid the clutch, and then later we redid the head gasket. And if you have seen some of my shorts on this tractor, you have seen that you probably have noticed that it hasn't been running quite right. And we actually got that fixed. And I'll tell you what the problem was. So, when me and my brother redid the head gasket on this tractor, we got the valves lapped. My brother also forgot to organize the valves so they didn't go back in the exact cylinder they were in before. So when we put the camshaft on, or sorry, not the camshaft, when we put the rocker arms on, they weren't adjusted properly, and my brother didn't know to adjust them, so we were running it, and the two valves on this cylinder on this side were stuck open just a little tiny bit, and that caused it so there were no compression really. So when I put my compression tester on, there was 0 psi coming out of it. So we were able to readjust the valves, and now there's not as much, or I don't think there's any blow by, but before there's a lot of blow by. And now it runs like it has double the horsepower because it has double the cylinders. So that's pretty nice. We got that working. It's kind of a silly mistake, but I'm glad we got it running, and now we know for the future not to make that same mistake. I'm pretty sure this tractor came from Tennessee. We live in Ontario, Canada, so that's quite far away, but that's kind of cool. That's just a sticker. We don't have too much proof that that is from. But the guy we bought it from seemed to think that's where it was from. So I guess we will never truly know, but I guess we'll just say that's from Tennessee because that probably makes the most sense. Anyway, that's this tractor. I can fire it up for you guys, and you can see how it runs. Alright, so moving on from the John Deere 50, we have the John Deere X495 lawnmower. Now we do have mostly John Deere equipment. We do have one red tractor, which I'll be showing later. But this is our John Deere X495 lawnmower. And this was actually the first tractor I ever drove, if you can call it a tractor. It's kind of kind of like a lawn tractor, but it's getting old. Our meter stopped working a while ago, so we really have no idea how many hours are on it, but there is a lot of hours on this thing. So yep, that's our John Deere lawnmower. and probably gonna get an upgrade soon because it's getting pretty worn out. But yep, that was the first tractor I ever drove really when I was 10 years old, and still runs today. So that's all the equipment I have parked out here right now. So now we're gonna go into some different sheds on the farm, and I can show you some of our other tractors. All right, so this is what we call the old shed. It's an old wooden shed that we really have no idea how old it is. It was on this farm apparently when I think it was my great-great-great-grandpa bought the farm back in the 1800s, and I think it was the original dairy barn. But this shed is very, very old, and for the past couple years I've been fixing it up quite a bit. It was full of junk, and I was able to get most of the junk out. Either burned it, or we sent it to the landfill, or scrapped it out, but got rid of pretty much all the junk. There's a big hole in the back wall there. I got it all filled in. You can't really tell, but I just noticed there's a board there falling off. I'll have to fix that up sometimes, but no, that's the old shed, and apparently this was the original dairy barn on this farm way back in the 1800s sometime. This shed has actually lived in 3 different places apparently. So if I pan over here, here's our yellow shed. Apparently this shed used to sit right where that big door is, pointing that way. The door on the old shed was pointing that way apparently. And before that it was over there by the new truck there. And so it's been moved 3 times. And my dad can remember when they moved it the last time to here. Apparently they used a bunch of wagons about that size and put it on the beams around the outside and just moved it over here. And they put it on some concrete pillars there. So this shed has quite the story behind it. But this video is not about sheds, it's about what's inside the sheds. So we're gonna walk in here and take a look at some different equipment. As you can see, I got the Century Farm sign up there, and we're using the upstairs for chicken barn parts. But here's our only red tractor on the farm. This is a McCormick Super W4, and we've had this tractor this was our first antique tractor that we bought, and now we have 3 of them, and you've seen the other 2. So the story behind this tractor is my great-grandpa had a McCormick Super W4, and then they used it as one of their main farm tractors. Then my grandpa was using it, and then when my dad took over the farm in the 2000s, this tractor, well, not this tractor, but their Super W4 was old and worn out. The engine was seized, it had a cracked block, and it was in really rough shape. Anyway, I might put a picture in here if I can find one of it, but so anyway, Grandpa had a Super W4, and my dad sold it to, or he gave it to somebody who said they were going to restore it, but then it ended up being so far gone that they just scrapped it out. So that's too bad, because my great-grandpa bought it new. But so when we started looking at antique tractors, my dad thought we should get a Super W4, just like the one he had and he drove when he was a boy. So here's the Super W4. It's a McCormick Deering tractor, but this is the years they were taken over by International Harvester. But I'm a John Deere guy, so I don't really know too much about this kind of stuff. But this tractor is actually really fun to drive. It has a very tall 5th gear, and it goes 24 kilometers an hour, which is very fast for an old tractor like this. So you got to know what you're doing when you're driving this tractor. Anyway, we can fire it up for you guys. It's been sitting in here for a bit, so I guess this is kind of like a cold start. But anyway, here is the, make sure it's in neutral. I guess we can put this in the clutch, pull the starter, let's see what happens. So So it's got the 4-cylinder engine in it, I do believe. So it purrs a lot nicer than a John Deere 2-cylinder, but I really like the sound of the 2 cylinders. Let me know what your favorite tractor engine sound is, if you have one. Anyway, that's the Super W4. Pretty nice old tractor, and I'm sure we're gonna keep it for many years. So anyway, that's the old shed. We have some canoes over here. I also have a CC cultivator, drop cultivator. That might be another project, or maybe we'll sell it. It was given to us. It's in pretty rough shape, but we'll see. Then here's a parts plow and parts M2 plow. Then another project back there, which I'll probably save for a different video. But yeah, that's the old shed, and yeah, that's about all there is to see in here. So here is a silo. It's a fairly tall silo, and you might be wondering why in the world there is a silo here if there's no barn at all. There should be a barn right here if there's a silo, right? Well, there used to be a big old bank barn right here before my time, and in the early 2000s, my dad tore it down after they sold the cows. It was very old and outdated barn, and after they sold the cows, it started to fall down quite a bit. So my dad just decided it'd be better to tear it down and focus on chickens, which is what we do today. So there used to be a bank barn here, and now it is no longer here. And I'm actually very fond of old wooden buildings, so that's why I took a liking to fixing this thing up. And I'm really happy that we still have this old shed here today. But the old dairy barn is no longer here. All right, so here's the building we call the shop. It's an old chicken barn that we retired and made it into a shop. So if you've seen some of my other videos and you've seen the videos of me fixing up the tractor, it's done in this building right here. So I'm not gonna go inside and show you guys in there today. Maybe we'll do a shop tour later, but it's nice to have a long building for a shop. So we can go take a look at the other chicken barns that we still use today, but this one is out of commission and is no longer raising chickens anymore. All right, so here is one of our chicken barns, and here's the other one of our chicken barns. We actually have 3 chicken barns. One of them is on a separate property, but this one here is they're all about 500 feet long, and they're pretty good sized barns. And like I said, the one on the other property is pretty much the same as that barn, only it's a couple years newer. But yeah, that's our chicken barns, and we actually don't do our own land. We rent it out, but I also get to help out the guy who rents our land, and I got to run grain cart last year with a fairly new 8RT pulling a grain cart. I'll put a picture in here if I can find it. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, so I'm glad I get to help them out. But like I said, we don't do our own land, so all of our tractors need to be low profile to fit inside these barns, just to clean them out and do all of the chores inside them. These are our broilers, and they're meat birds, so we don't have any eggs. We just have the meat birds that you would be eating at a restaurant, I guess. So yep, that's why our biggest tractor is only 100 horsepower. We'll go look at that next, and it's very low down. We got some smaller tires on it, and we'll go have a look at it. Here's an old threshing machine inside the shed. We'll hopefully get that out sometime the next couple of years. My great-grandpa bought this brand new, and we've been storing it in a good dry place for the past couple years, and hopefully we can get it out. Since we have some new to us antique tractors, we can hopefully get it out and get it working sometime. But that's not what we're here to see. We're here to see this John Deere 5100M tractor, and it's pretty much the same as any normal tractor. We did put some smaller wheels on the back. You can see there's quite a bit of space between the wheel and the fender, maybe a little more than normal, but other than that, it's pretty much the same. Also, we took the ROPS off just so we can get it into the chicken barns, and we also have these weights on the back here that we filled with concrete, and that's just for ballast weight, so when we're pushing out manure, it's a little easier and we have a bit more traction. The only tractor that I have not shown in this video is the 2 Series, what we call the 2 Series, or the little tractor, and I'll put a picture of it right here. It's what we use to pull the 3-point hitch lawnmower, and that's the primary tractor that I use to mow grass with. And yeah, I'll put some pictures here, and that's what we call a little tractor, because this is obviously the bigger tractor, so we call this one the big tractor. or the 5 Series, and the little one is the 2 Series or the little tractor. So yeah, that's the little tractor. Even though it's not here, it'll probably be sitting around here somewhere. But that's pretty much it for this video. And thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you'd like to see a shop tour, make sure to let me know in the comments. But thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Hey guys, thanks so much for finishing the video. Really appreciate you guys hanging around with me today, and I really hope you enjoyed looking at some of our equipment. I'm gonna take this little guy for a ride. This is my little brother Mark. You say hi.
Hi.
And we're gonna go for a ride in the Gator, right? Say thumbs up. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
All right, see you guys later.